Get up, let me begin. This is 𝗬𝗎𝗓. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is 𝗬𝗎𝗓. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Sit Down Morning Show with Malik Wright, presented by the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined as always by my co-host, my best friend, my main man, 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗓𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗓. We've got a new host joining us in the studio. My man, Tim Andrews, in the building. Tim, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, man.
We're going to get to it, but before we do, make sure you guys do us a huge favor. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Obviously, big game today. Thursday Night Football, Bengals taking on Steelers. We're going to get into all that conversation. But, Tim, it's your first show here on the Sit Down Morning Show. Tell me how you feeling.
Nervous, but at
Nervous?
the same time, we're talking ball here. And at the end of the day, we're here to give stats and also be accurate with what we say.
Yeah.
And I think that's a standard here at TWSN. So I'm glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, of course. You know, if you ever get a little too nervous, you could just look at Daniel's ugly ass face.
There
and
we go.
From there,
Yeah,
you know
man, I'm
what I
going
mean?
to tap him twice. I'll give him a look, man. Tap him twice.
No, but I want to kind of start the conversation off a little bit in Alabama. I want to talk about Ty Simpson. And the question is being posed right now by many folks. And it's, should Ty Simpson be considered the Heisman favorite? I think the way that he's been playing right now, he's been playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation. I don't know if there is a quarterback that is placing the ball with more accuracy, that is being as consistent as a Ty Simpson. Admittedly, I will say the first game of the season, I was a little bit skeptical of what Ty was going to bring, obviously. You know, we saw him in flashes when he was the backup to Jalen Milroe, but he really got this opportunity and they weren't able to pull it out. They seemed like they were flustered against Florida State. However, they bounced back so nicely, right? Beating teams like Georgia, Vanderbilt. These are wins that eluded them, not necessarily the Georgia win, but the Vanderbilt win that eluded them last year. It was a lot that went into it. It was a lot, you know, of the stakes were so high after beating a Georgia team. They went into that Vandy game and they kind of, I guess, rested on their laurels. But you turn the page to this season, they've rewritten the script. And I know it's easy for me to get on here and say this. Everybody know my ties to Alabama. Everybody knows I'm a huge Alabama Crimson Tide fan, Roll Tide. But I promise you, my thoughts on this has nothing to do with the fandom behind it. I genuinely do not know if there is a quarterback that is playing the position better than Ty Simpson right now. And Daniel, I want to get your thoughts because obviously PFF, I got 𝗕𝗘𝗟𝗦𝗢𝗔 had Ty Simpson in his mock draft going #1 overall recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about that a little more further. So Daniel.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, this is a guy, shout out to your Crimson Tide. They look great. And when you look at the quarterback position, when you look at the Heisman, you want a guy who's playing flawless, right? I mean, last year was kind of an anomaly with, Travis Hunter. He wasn't a quarterback. Typically, this is a quarterback or wide receiver award. There's not a wide receiver right now in college football, at least for me, that I can look in and say, hey, that guy is dominating at a extreme clip right now, maybe outside of Arizona State's wide receiver, Jordan Tyson. But it's as simple as, hey, are you the best quarterback on the best team in college football? That's kind of one of my premises. And Ty Simpson right now is this dude, Tim, he's thrown 1 interception all season long. And when you're the quarterback and when you look at the rest of these guys who are at the college football level, a lot of these guys are throwing picks. A lot of these guys on 3rd down, 4th down aren't completing these big time plays, but Ty Simpson is. And I think that that's kind of one of my big markers is, hey, are you playing in these big time games? They went up against Georgia. They played Georgia. They beat Georgia. And he's playing phenomenal. It's not like their rushing attack all year long has been great. So if your rushing attack's not great, you as the quarterback have to perform at a high level. So for me, he's undoubtedly the Heisman favorite right now. And another reason why I look at him as the Heisman favorite is you look at how accurate this guy is. This is a guy, it's not like he had any college football experience before, right? Carson Beck from Miami, he played, 3-4 years before.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza last year played at Cal. This is a guy stepping in. This is his first time playing at the college football level. And for me, that's why I view Ty Simpson as the Heisman favorite, because Malik, you're right. That first game, he didn't look phenomenal, but he has found his groove. And in addition to that, he is also, like you point out, Malik, he is one of the media favorites right now. And at the end of the day, this tends to also be a media award as well. You look at Travis Hunter, there was some concern last year. Hey, should Travis be the Heisman? It should have been Ashton Jeanty. But the reality was Travis Hunter's all over the spotlight. He's all over ESPN. He's everywhere. And he's the media darling. And I think right now, the fact that Ty Simpson has risen to these ranks, it feels like everybody's talking about him. So there's a couple guys that we could discuss, like Fernando Mendoza for Indiana. Right now, they're undefeated. He deserves to be in that conversation as well. But Tim, I don't know if you share a different opinion on the Ty Simpson thought, but I'm curious here where you land on this.
You know, I think we're all on the same page when we talk about Ty Simpson. And I think, honestly, this is my opinion, and I think you guys agree with me. I think Ty Simpson is playing the best college football at the quarterback position from the neck up. I think we could credit that to some of, Kalen DeBoer finding his groove as far as play calling, but the 16 touchdowns, 1 interception is really telling as to him making sure that he's putting his guys in position. And he's playing ball to the point to where I guess we could say the narrative was that there was a lot of flaws with the team, as you said. But now I think Ty Simpson can also have on his resume that he's willing his team to a win despite the flaws. I also think that when you talk about the poise and the fact that he did get to sit behind veteran leadership and ultimately take the reins at Alabama, I think also his patience, his blending with his maturity has ultimately made him jump into this conversation. Now, there's 2 categories that go into a Heisman winner as long as I've watched football. And that's been, 1, the stats. That's what's appealing to the voters. That's what, sells tickets. But also, I think the second one would be the spotlight. As long as Alabama is Alabama essentially, I don't see there a time where he's not able to put his skills on display. Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement that Ty Simpson has jumped in here. Now, Dante Moore has something to say about that. I know he just came off of the loss, but I don't think, you really could blame that on him with the defense not playing up to par of what Oregon, is used to. But I think, honestly, Ty Simpson has put his name in the hat and said, I'm here to stay. Yeah,
for sure. And even a little bit to your point, I mean, you can tell people you were quarterback, man. You know a little bit about the quarterback position. I think that
was all right.
But still,
you can sling that pill. Come on, don't lie. You can sling that pill.
But yeah, man, I think and the spotlight is pretty much a key point. Like, listen, Fernando Mendoza, he's got Indiana playing great. They're 6-0. They're just coming off of a big win. But you even look in his big win last week against Oregon, in his first time as in a massive spotlight going up against Dante Moore, he had 230 passing yards, touchdown, interception. Wasn't phenomenal. So
I got to push back on what you said there about Dante Moore. I'm sorry. This is how we are offline. Okay. So I'm going to push back here. You talked about how the defense, blamed that loss on the defense on 9 yards. Dante Moore threw 2 interceptions and he got sacked 6 times. To me, you cannot be a Heisman in the Heisman conversation and have a performance like that. And I want to make sure, because I'm the same guy that when Ty Simpson was not able to will his team to victory against Florida State, I grilled him on the show. So I want to make sure that I appropriately grill.
We keep the playing field even.
And so I understand where you're coming from Dante Moore, but that loss was ugly. Every which way, it was ugly against Indiana. And again, I think they're a team that was coming in with a lot of doubt. There were a lot of people that didn't believe in them. But you can't have that type of performance if you're Dante Moore and then expect to be in the Heisman conversation. Especially that's a performance that I think that voters alike would throw under the rug if it were like maybe the first week of college football. But this happened in October.
And I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest. There's been teams this year that have taken losses where you'll say that might hinder them coming towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Now the Florida State loss. I think Alabama, now looking on it, there's certain losses that are, favorable losses where you at the end of the year, you're like, you know what, that was just a good team that they played, got caught off guard, but it's not looking like that. I think with Florida State losing to Pittsburgh this past weekend, has kind of made that loss look a little even ugly.
And then Virginia Tech, they lost. Was it Virginia or Virginia Tech? They lost to Virginia or Virginia Tech. I want to say a few weeks ago.
Virginia.
Yeah,
Virginia. Late in the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, Dante Moore has a ability to redeem himself. There's teams who have taken losses that have looked way worse, and we're in the top 10, i.e. Penn State, which there's a major shift in the culture there. But Oregon will be fine towards the end of the year. And I don't think we give enough credit to the Hoosiers. I think the Hoosiers have put the world on notice. So, at the end of the day, I think the main job of a quarterback is to win.
You know, the reason why I give Ty Simpson a little bit of a pass on the FSU game, even though I grilled him on the show for not being, because honestly, there were a lot of times he was holding the ball a little too long, took too many sacks. But then again, his offensive line did a lot to help him. But I want to keep it. I want to keep it neutral. I want to keep it even here. His performance in that loss, Alabama's only loss of the season, he still put up 254 yards, still threw for 2 touchdowns, and still had 0 interceptions. That's winning football still. Didn't get the job done, but it's harder to overlook a loss when you take 6 sacks, you throw 2 interceptions, and your team loses by 10 points. That's not the expectation, right? So I guess that's why I'm maybe grilling Dante Moore on his loss and his performance. His worst performance of the season resulted in a loss. Ty Simpson's performance that resulted in a loss was still a winning performance.
Yeah. And your job is to take care of the football.
Yeah.
And that's what Ty Simpson has done consistently throughout the entire year. Yeah. So I will say this weekend against Tennessee.
Big game.
That will give us an indication of whether or not, because up until this point, Ty Simpson has played the best football in the best conference in college football.
Yeah, which is not easy to do.
It's not at all. And their schedule is grueling. Let's start there.
Yeah.
They still have a lot going on.
They still got LSU. And something that's crazy, I mean, props to them. They faced number 9, Georgia, number 17, Vanderbilt,
top 15
number 16, Missouri. They got number 11, Tennessee, and then you still got number 10, LSU, and you still got number 14, Oklahoma. Yeah. That's a brutal schedule. And if they can.
And then the walk down to Auburn isn't going to be a cupcake ride either. Auburn's tough.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot. And Ty Simpson could actually talk himself possibly, do I want to say it, into one of the top 3 quarterbacks of this year's draft.
Yeah.
Top pick. Like,
top pick.
It's crazy to think.
You gotta say it.
I'll say this. Ty Simpson needs to make sure he assembles a team around him. And I hate to talk prematurely. He needs to assemble a team around him that says to him, Ty, I don't give a damn how good this year is for you. And maybe you guys fall short of your goals. Look at the 𝗪𝗓 situation. 𝗪𝗓 is probably kicking himself that he did not declare for the NFL draft last year. Right, because he would have been one of the top picks in the NFL draft last year. He did not do that. So what happened? Now he came back to Penn State. Obviously, in a down year, they fired their coach midseason. He injures his foot. Now he's out for the year. And now you've got PFF people. You've got people in the national media saying that this guy's not even worthy of a 3rd round pick. But that is how drastic that the conversation around 𝗪𝗓 has changed. So if I'm Ty Simpson and I have a great year, go 100%, because guess what? The University of Alabama is not going to be hurting. They've got 2 quarterbacks backing him up right now. One of those guys that Kalen DeBoer, they went out and they recruited from Washington. And who was that? That's Austin Mack, like a 6'6" quarterback. Again, I'm not really high on him, but there's another dude. There's another guy that I think is the future at the quarterback position at Alabama. His name is Keelan Russell. And if you do not know who that dude is, I suggest you get to know who he is. Listen, Keelan Russell is going to be the future starter of Alabama. I think he's going to be that Austin Mack for the job. So
is that Duncanville?
I'm not exactly sure.
From Duncanville? Yeah.
He's from Texas. Right? Yeah, he's from Texas.
Duncanville.
Yeah. He's from Texas. I don't know about Duncanville, but I know he's from Texas for sure. He was number 1 recruit out of Texas. Yeah. And he was a guy that at one point I thought could challenge for the starting job against Ty Simpson. Well, guess what? I say all that to say, Ty Simpson, if you go on and continue to have a great season, Heisman, whatever the case may be, you are in a spot where teams are seriously going to consider you the 1st round pick. That does not happen every single year. College football is parity. You never know how this thing is going to shake up. So as much as I love Ty Simpson suiting up for my Crimson Tide doing well, I think that he needs to ride this roller coaster, and I should be seeing him in Indy in February. That's what I think.
This season is an idea, or more so put on a billboard of not necessarily star players, but complete teams.
Yeah.
This college football season is about as janky as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the year, we're going to have, with those 12 teams, looking at saying, you know what, there's anybody from that 1 through 8 area where they can win on any given Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
I like it.
And so as much as I hate the new college football playoff format, because I just feel like it's way too many teams, way too many games, I kind of like it because it gives a chance for teams that you wouldn't expect to it really feels like a playoff. It doesn't feel like it's a shoe-in for one team. It doesn't feel like it's just,
and it puts some guys on the map. These
Mhm.
are prime games.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Where guys now get to showcase, maybe if they weren't on, Fox, if they weren't on, CBS at 3:30. I think now it gives guys a chance to go ahead and up their draft stock.
Yeah.
And also to go back to Drew Aller,
Mhm.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that he drops. Sometimes when you drop, you jump, you fall into the right position, the right place, and you're not asked to do
That's
and be
important.
Superman.
That's important.
Off rip.
I was talking to Marissa not too long ago. For people who don't know Marissa's our producer. And we had a conversation, and she said she's still high on, and it shocked me, baffled me.
She has a lot of
Quinn
Ewers.
She still believes Quinn Ewers could be a starting quarterback in the National
Down in
Football League.
Miami.
And when I talked to her about it, she said, I think it's about fit. I feel like he wasn't given a fair shake. And I feel like when he went to where he went to and things didn't work out, it was more so of the situation around him than anything else.
The Arch Manning narrative was pushed so heavy.
It was almost felt like he got pushed out, if that makes sense, right? And
he was winning.
Yeah. And so I think that Drew Aller be this year's Quinn Ewers, maybe? And Quinn Ewers' story is still being written. We don't know what his story is going to be, but we say all that to say is Ty Simpson. Look at these guys. Look at Quinn Ewers. Look at Drew Aller. And ride this momentum, this wave of momentum into the combine at Indy. You've already won a lot of teams over. Teams are already saying you're probably the smartest quarterback in this year's draft class, the way you're able to just get rid of the ball now. I know it wasn't conversation after week 1, but now they're now saying, hey, you're able to throw it away. You're able to maneuver the pocket. You're able to make all the NFL type of throws. I'm a believer in Ty Simpson. I think Ty Simpson wins the Heisman this year, guys. I really believe that. But again, I want to keep the conversation rolling. We got so much more to get into. Bengals conversation, so much more. Again, do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. If we have any comments from X, let me know as well, so that way we can get to them. What's going on with the Buffalo Bills? Buffalo Bills are now facing 2 straight losses. 2 straight losses. Marissa's Buffalo Bills. Those of you who don't know, Marissa is a huge Buffalo Bills fan. She came in Cincinnati, and she picked up the Bengals because obviously we're here in Cincinnati and, TWSN, the whole 9 yards. But I started to say the Buffalo Bills are struggling right now. Joe Brady went from being the hottest offensive coordinator candidate. I still believe he is the talk of this head coaching class, but I still think Joe Brady has left a lot to be desired. I still question some of his play calling. I still don't understand why he does this thing he does. I'll never understand for the life of me why you're faced with a 3rd and 1 situation or a 4th and 1 situation, and you decide to say, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go shotgun. We're going to put ourselves 5 yards even further behind the sticks, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to try to make that play that should be super simple and super easy for us. Why? Because we also have a quarterback by the name of Josh Allen, who's also, 6'5", 200-something pounds, and we know he's a battering ram. Listen, I don't understand why the Bills do what they do, but it brings me back to that conversation. Do you remember last year in the playoffs? It was when they got eliminated. I forgot who they faced. Was it the Ravens they faced?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Remember that 4th and 1 situation? Yep. And they don't even put it in the hands of Josh Allen. They said, hey, you know what? We're going to do something completely different. Had Josh Allen do like a rollout. It was just absolutely asinine. You just don't understand the logic behind it sometimes. So I feel like Joe Brady, I've never seen a coordinator. No, I have. But I haven't seen a coordinator of this magnitude almost talk themselves out of being the hottest candidate. Joe Brady's done a lot of damage to his stock the last 2 weeks than people are talking about. And that's what's sort of happening in NFL circles right now. People are saying, is Joe Brady really that good? Or is Joe Brady just a merchant of Josh Allen? We still can hang on to his first season as offensive coordinator of the Panthers, where he had, he almost had 3,000-yard receivers. But we're starting to question ourselves. Is Joe Brady that good? Like, I can tell you right now in Bengal country, right? People are looking at Joe Brady. People are saying, well, we want Joe Brady to be our potential head coach. Guys, if you turn on the film, there's not too big of a difference between Zach Taylor's play calling and Joe Brady right now. I'm just calling it what it is. It's a lot of shotgun. It's a lot of dropbacks. There's not a lot of putting your team in a lot of advantageous positions. Now, I still think Joe Brady's a better play caller, and I think he's learning on the job, and I think that this thing could look different when somebody is the head man versus a play caller, but I don't think Joe Brady's done himself any favors. Tim, what say you?
Joe Burrow has made a lot of people a lot of money.
Mm.
That's not to say Joe Brady isn't a capable play caller. Because I think we're not gonna, shorthand the Bills as if their offense wasn't dominant as could be for the first 4 weeks of the season. But the narrative push right now is that they don't have a number one option.
They don't.
The consensus coming out of college for Keon Coleman was that, while he is a big body, 50-50 ball guy, he can't create separation. 40-yard time, that there was a lot looked into that. Keon needs a lot more to put on tape and also to take some off of Josh. But I'm not going to lie to you. Their defense is atrocious.
Of course, but it's been atrocious the last few years. It's been atrocious since they scapegoated
5.8 yards.
Since they scapegoated Leslie Frazier. Remember they did that.
Yeah.
They scapegoated. They asked Leslie Frazier for his walking papers. And listen, ever since then, it's been just a shit. So what? Who's their defense coordinator now? Is it Bobby Babich or something like that? I don't know. We got to figure that out. It's Bobby Babich. He's their defensive coordinator. I shouldn't know this stuff, but I do. Why do I know who Bobby fucking Babich is? But I do know who Bobby Babich is. Listen, the fact that I said bad bitch, Bobby Babich.
No, I was not going to call it out, but I got weak
Bobby
just now.
bad bitch.
Yeah.
Bad bitch.
But look, listen, the safety play is atrocious, right?
Yeah.
They've got Cole Bishop back there at safety, and everybody's wondering where is he going? Listen, I remember. Let me just talk about this.
Taylor Rapp is just as bad right now. You're missing tackles left and right.
Shout out to my guy Mookie Hawkins, Bills
Mookie.
reporter. He said, "Bean after dark," and I'll never forget a quote from Brandon Bean. I never want to be in a position like Cincinnati to draft a receiver like Ja'Marr Chase because that means we would be bad. Well, let's talk about it. Aren't you the same guy that traded your first round pick to the Chiefs and then you winded up letting them select Xavier Worthy? Xavier Worthy looks like a more competent receiver than Keon Coleman right now.
Even with gadget players
so,
right now.
The fact of the matter is I'm of the belief that maybe Bean after dark or Brandon Bean doesn't actually know how to evaluate talent. It's the reason why they continue to do these bargain basement deals that they keep doing. It's the reason why you brought back Gabe Davis, the guy that wanted $10 million a year from a team, and certainly a team paid him that. But then there was a team that paid him that, and they realized he's really not that good, and that's why he's sitting on the Buffalo Bills practice squad right now because clearly he's not that good. But help me understand something. In saying all of that, are we shocked? Because Keon Coleman, I'm here to tell you right now, he is what he is. I don't think Keon Coleman's going to wake up one day and he's going to show you. Has he shown you any flashes of being a number one wide receiver? He hasn't shown me that. Has he made nice plays? Yes, he has. But usually by now, you would have seen something that would say, you know what, that guy could be our number one wide receiver. I do not see that with the Buffalo Bills. You know what's crazy? Stephon Diggs walked in your trap and took over your trap. He literally told you, I'm the guy that y'all said was the cancer. I'm the guy that y'all said, guess what? You wanted me out of your locker room, and look what I did. Look what I did in Buffalo with Drake May, a second-year quarterback as my quarterback. I proved to y'all, not only do I still got it, I could be all the distraction that you want for a different franchise that just so happens to be your division rival. But Daniel, what say you?
Yeah, man. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, and it sounds crazy because they are 4-2, but they look like a shit show at points. They really do. Like, you look at that defense and you look at their injury report. I mean, you've got corners going out and you've got dudes who are playing that are like, who the hell is this? When Christian Benford went out, it was like Drake London walking all over them, Bijan Robinson. It's like they can't tackle, and it's been a common theme, but this team really isn't as good as people think. I mean, you look at the record against playoff teams the last 2 years, they are 4-22 in the regular season against teams who have made the playoffs. That's scary. That's concerning because can you beat the great teams? Can you beat good teams? And right now, they haven't shown it, and it seems like I'm going to give them some time to turn it around because you've got Josh Allen.
Early in the season.
Like, you've got Josh Allen, but it kind of feels like they are a team that they do kind of get complacent a little bit. You look at Joe Brady, the one critique I'll have of him is his rotation of players. Sean McDermott in the press conference literally said, hey, we talked about James Cook's usage because I don't know if you guys watched the game, but there was multiple times. Third down, James Cook's not out there. 2-minute drill, James Cook's not out there. I understand he may not be the greatest, blocking back, but that is your best talent on your offense outside of Josh Allen right now. That is the guy you went out, you gave him a contract, And Joe Brady, like his whole explanation before that was, hey, we want James Cook to be healthy heading into the playoffs. Of course, that is fine. You want him to be healthy, but that doesn't mean you take this guy out in the fourth quarter. That doesn't mean you put in Ty Johnson, who is a okay backup running back. You put him in for 3 straight downs when you are down a touchdown. That is my concern with Joe Brady, especially given the fact that, hey, you don't have many other great talents. Dalton Kincaid was out. So the Buffalo Bills, they will be fine. But to be honest with you, this is the most concern I've had, not just because of the Bills, but because there is a competent team in their division for the first time in the past 5 years.
Hot on their heels.
And it is a team, Tim, Malik, they won the first divisional matchup. There is a realistic shot right now that the Bills just went from hosting the #1 seed, from having the thing. I mean, listen, one of my friends is a Bills fan, Mookie Hawkins. They all say, and Marissa,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Shout out Marissa. I'm kidding.
No, she's not kidding. She did grow up a Buffalo. Let's be honest. She grew up a Buffalo Bills fan. She admitted this already, because that was the only thing they were able to watch up in Canada, New York. She liked the Bills. The Bills are her second team. She has been very, very clear about that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can root for 2 teams, but Daniel, continue.
Yeah, it's their biggest concern was, hey, we've lost to the Chiefs, but we haven't had the #1 seed every single year. That's been our problem.
Yeah.
Well, you were about to have the #1 seed this year. You're 4-0, and now you lost a divisional game. The New England Patriots have just as many wins as the Buffalo Bills do right now. There's a realistic shot that the Patriots could end up winning this division. And if the Bills are in the wild card, I don't give them much of a shot because they aren't beating the Chiefs in the playoffs from what I've seen so far. And I just don't have a whole lot of confidence. So right now, this is the most concern I've had for this team. They're going to get healthy. Maxwell Harrison, the first-round pick, is finally getting healthy. But, man, I am kind of concerned, Tim, Malik, about this Bills team, because this was the year where it seemed like, hey, like, all right, we've got everything. We got the continuity at coordinators. We got Josh Allen still here. I think that when we'll get to this topic in a little bit, I think they've got to make a move for a talent at wide receiver, something.
I agree. And I have a receiver on hand right now that they could place a phone call to. Everybody collectively hold your breaths for a second. Everybody, do me a favor. Let's all have a moment of silence really quickly for this person's end of his career.
Take, man. Please don't.
A.J. Brown. Literally, the Buffalo Bills should call the Philadelphia Eagles for A.J. Brown. Imagine A.J. Brown with Josh Allen. You tell me that. Put me in a damn front office. That's what I think. Put me in. It fits like a glove. Tell me he would not be doing great catching go balls from Josh Allen. Tell me you can't see A.J. Brown running post routes. And you know what the best part about it? It's a win-win situation. The Eagles would get draft capital, right? Assuming so.
Yeah.
They'd get draft capital. But here's the thing. A.J. Brown, you don't go back to a Tennessee Titans situation. My bad, I wasn't supposed to say that. You don't go back to a situation in which you're not winning. You don't go back to a situation where you're not getting over the hump. You go, well, maybe you're not getting over the hump with the Buffalo Bills, but at least you go to a situation where you have a truly elite quarterback at the position that can also sling in the rock, that can also make all the NFL throws.
Yeah.
And guess what? You still can get a little blocking involved because we do know how much Josh Allen likes to use his legs. The fact of the matter is, dare I say, the Buffalo Bills are a little too dependent on Josh Allen. And I think when you see guys like Dalton Kincaid out of the starting lineup, the Buffalo Bills offense looks like this. Tim, what say you?
I have a hot take.
Sure.
I love A.J. Brown.
Sure.
But I think it will give the Bills PTSD of Stephon Diggs. A.J. Brown is a guy who walks up to you and says, give me the damn ball. And in that offense, while they're still trying to find the cohesiveness between just the running game and the outside stretch zone, and also trying to just take guys out of the box, I think personally, if I'm the Buffalo Bills and I woke up this morning, I'm going to go look at the yard sale that's going on in New Orleans. Chris Olave, what do you want for him? Chris Olave, I know he has history issues with concussions and whatnot, but Chris Olave is a one-on-one mismatch. And I think before we even go there, go back to the defense, because I don't think we're highlighting how bad this defense is. Okay, 5.8 yards per carry given up. I know 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗔𝗪𝗔 is coming back from suspension, but I think you're going to need more than that. I think that's a great pairing to go with Ed Oliver. But then on that back end, Tre'Davious White, you are getting cooked, my boy. Where's the camera? You're getting cooked, my boy. Left and right. And to be honest with you, Christian Benford, I know you're dealing with ailments as far as injury, but there has to be some type of between Radford,
Rap.
yeah, rap. I'm sorry, rap. You're gonna have to give him more too. The whole secondary has been in question for the last 3 weeks because we're not gonna act like these wins that the Bills have gotten have just been flawless victories. No, they've been ugly at times, but because the Bills are asking Josh Allen to be Superman, essentially, like you said, Malik, I think that's put a lot on his plate. And it's not saying he can't handle it, but I think every quarterback in the NFL needs some type of help. And I think a wide receiver at the deadline, I love AJ Brown. Now that I think about it, I was sold on looking at 𝗪𝗧 and going in and giving a second round pick possibly for him. But AJ Brown, it was already flirted with last offseason. And now this might be a true thing. I think AJ Brown has only 26 receptions on the year and or 25 receptions, and Devontae Smith has 26. That pass offense over there, I think they need to change things up in Philly, and I think also having a small yard set will help with that as well.
This because we often talk about the Bengals front office, but I want to talk about the Bills front office. Outside of that 2018 draft, has Brandon Beane actually been a good drafter? Because remember that draft, they had Wyatt Teller, who they let walk out the door, right?
Yeah.
Right, all pro guard. They had Tremaine Edmonds, Taron Johnson, Josh Allen. Has he really been that great of an evaluator? Because it feels a lot like his entire success that the Bills have had has been based off of earlier draft classes. Well, yeah, Josh Allen. We haven't really seen that. They had Harrison Phillips and all that, who's still going on to have a productive rate. Who's with the Vikings now, I think. I have questions about, I think there has to be conversations here very, very shortly about Brandon Beane and his capabilities and his ability to take the Buffalo Bills to the next level. At what point do we start to look at the front office? It's not just Cincinnati. We talk about a bunch of front office, but this is the same general manager that said, hey, I don't want to suck like Cincinnati basically to grab an elite player. But isn't that what you did when you drafted Josh Allen out of Wyoming? You sucked, so you drafted Josh Allen in the first round. Just help me out. Help me understand something.
I don't think there's too much to be understood when it comes to a guy taking on most of the heat. And as a quarterback, that is your job. You're responsible and you get praised when you win, but you also have to put your, testicles on the line when you lose.
Can say it. Put your
balls on the line when you lose. They're getting chopped. But also, me personally, the Buffalo Bills right now are at night holding a picture of Stephon Diggs. That 2021-2022 Buffalo Bills team and that offense was humming on all cylinders. And Stephon Diggs coming off of the ACL is looking like that Buffalo Bills Stephon Diggs. And now they're thirsty for that. They're wanting that continuity between. They don't have that number one option, and I think it's more evident than we realize.
So I think so. I'm going to push back on what you said.
Yeah,
you talked about 𝗪𝗧. I want them, right? If I'm looking at it from outside lens, I would want them to grab a receiver that's durable. I want them to have a receiver that is also proven at the highest level. To me, that's AJ Brown. I think AJ Brown can run every route in the route tree. I don't think you have to worry about the physicality of
big body,
of the AFC East or whatever the case may be. The NFL just catching up to a guy like AJ Brown who's done it at the highest level.
For AJ?
It would
you'd
give
question.
up a first, I think.
I don't know if you do.
Really?
I don't know if you do. Not at this point. I don't know if you do. You have a disgruntled wide receiver. Everybody knows how the NFL works, so they should know. The market gets pushed down when you have a disgruntled player because we know one thing, or that the moment you make that player available for trade, at some point, if you can't get that trade, you're going to cut that player. Because you're basically, when you put a player out there for
feelings
trade,
are now involved.
Your feelings are now involved, but you're also very much saying you're willing to cut your losses. Just how much you're willing to cut your losses by. I think that AJ Brown could be had for a second and third round pick, personally.
Would you, if you're Philly, would you take that right now?
I mean, that is a loaded question.
Straight answer. Are you taking it?
Yes.
Okay.
I take it. You want to know why I take it? Right. Does it hurt us? Yes. But if your offense falls apart with AJ Brown out of the lineup, who's not even getting as many targets as he should be getting in this offense, is he playing more of a decoy role? And with him playing more of a decoy role, that makes me wonder, well, is Nick Sirianni the play caller that we think he is, or the play designer? I would say, because I don't know if he calls plays exactly, but and is Jalen Hurts the quarterback that we think he is as well? Like,
do you think Devontae Smith can handle that load as
no,
one?
I think that he'd have no choice but to. I genuinely think he would have no choice but to. But the same questions you have about Chris Olave, right, and some of these other smaller frame wide receivers and the ability to hold up in the NFL, and especially with that target share. The fact of the matter is Devontae Smith isn't getting that many targets, but maybe there's a little bit too many mouths to feed right now in the Philadelphia Eagles offense with Dallas Goedert, with Devontae Smith, with A.J. Brown. So somebody at some point is going to
keep in mind, Saquon is sitting back there, a receiving threat out the backfield. Right. Saquon is on pace, I think, for 940 yards total on the season. He's starving back there, and they're not running the ball as effectively as they want outside of the damn tush push. I mean, first of all,
because everybody
running that 3 times was crazy.
Everybody also knows what you are. Everybody knows you're not passing as much. So people are going to start. Teams are starting to load the box. The fact of the matter is the tush push is an unstoppable play when you're going against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's just something you have to keep them out of short yardage situations. And short yards for the Philadelphia Eagles for tush push has to be anything third and 3. Is considered short yardage for them to run that tush push, because if they don't get it on 3rd and 3, 9 times out of 10, they'll do it on 4th, and they'll be at 4th and inches. So for me, keep the Philadelphia Eagles out of 3rd and inches situation. Again, that's easier said than done, but it could be done. I think the Buffalo Bills. I'm planting my flag. I want to get you guys' last predictions who they should trade for. I say A.J. Brown. Tim, you say Chris Olave. Daniel, who would you say?
Ooh, who they should trade for?
Because you got to be in win now mode. You have to be.
Yeah.
Because if McDermott and the Bills don't break through this year,
we're all in agreement.
You have to
it's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
The defense, you're just going to have to mix and match and do what you can.
For years,
slow people down.
for years, their offense has been their greatest weapon. So they need to use it as a weapon. So, Daniel, who would you say?
I would give 2 guys.
Sure. Tell me.
And I think that you have to go. I like the A.J. Brown route. I think he's the only guy of that mold of the big body X receiver. If you're not going with an A.J. Brown, I think the Chris Olave-esque player, the 2 players I would say is Jalen Waddle or Rashid Shaheed. And the reason why I say those 2 players is
the Dolphins is not trading him to the Bills.
I would agree in division. I would agree. But if we're talking, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, who I'm calling about, those are the 2 guys, because I look at both of those guys. And those are guys that can create after the catch. And quite frankly, those are 2 guys that can also do it downfield. When I watch what the Bills have been doing, they're putting Elijah Moore in end arounds. Like, respect to Elijah Moore, but what? He's 30 years old. He's not the same type of player he was before. If you want to do that, grab a Rashid Shaheed. That is what he was known for. The Cincinnati Bengals, he took a 40-yard out route to the house, or reverse to the house. Same thing this year. He's taken multiple plays to the house. Rashid Shaheed and Jalen Waddle are 2 players that can take any play to the house. And I think that would be a perfect complement to Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir in the slot, Dalton Kincaid, and you got an explosive wide receiver.
Separation.
There is a player that was just mentioned by our guy Alejandro in the on Twitter. He says Jacoby Myers.
I like it.
I like that.
Myers is an underrated. Myers is an underrated, one of the most underrated wide receivers, and he's consistent. That dude did it from New England. He's doing it in Las Vegas right now. He's the only consistent weapon. He can do it from the slot, from the outside, in the red zone. He's got consistent hands.
There's just guys who have a knack for just getting open, and he has the ability to sit here and body position. The art of wide receiver is being able to sell. And what Jacoby Myers has done really well is he's been actually a really reliable red zone target, despite being what his height and weight is, but then also being able to in motion to find mismatches. He's too quick for a linebacker. And to be honest with you, nickel corners really have trouble guarding him out of the slot. I think outside he does have some incapabilities, but that's why Keon Coleman is there. Keon Coleman, what did you say, Malik? Keon Coleman is what he is. 50-50. If we're 15 yards downfield, I can go up and get a ball at 6'4". Red zone targets, I can do that as well. But me sitting out here going against one-on-one a Pat Surtain and trying to give you 7 catches, even 90 yards a game, it's just not realistic. But Jacoby Myers is slept on a lot.
Yeah,
around the
I like that. I know there are rumors
He's
that
respected.
there are rumors that are flirting out there with him. Apparently, the Steelers have some interest in Jacoby Myers, so we'll see what sort of happens there. Again, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live, when we upload content from the TWSN studios. This is a great segue to our next question.
Yeah.
Biggest NFL trade candidates I want to get to. Guys, please stick with us. We got some Bengals talk coming here shortly, but I want to talk about this. Who are some of the biggest NFL trade candidates? Daniel, let you start this one off.
Yeah, I can easily start with one position. Obviously, we'll get to like running back and even some more wide receivers just to kind of discuss like landing spots and stuff. But the pass rushers, by far and away, it's the best group and it's the most realistic group. The one I'll start with, I'll just look straight to Miami, right? For NFL trades, especially at the deadline, the number one thing I look at is, hey, who is in position to have that fire sale? Because every single year, it's like, hey, a lot of times it's the bad teams. It's the teams that don't have any chance. The 1-5 teams, 1-6 teams. The Miami Dolphins are terrible. The Miami Dolphins are trash. The Miami Dolphins are going to make major changes this offseason. That is inevitable. When I look at every tea leaf and you look at the teams that are in need, the contenders, the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, the teams that need a pass rusher, what better way than to call the Miami Dolphins, who have 2 pass rushers that likely don't fit the Miami Dolphins timeline, and that's Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Jalen Phillips is on the final year of his contract. He needs to get an extension. And the Miami Dolphins right now, there's chances, hey, this dude's been injury prone. Why the hell are we going to re-sign him? We're going through a rebuild. We're probably going to hire a new DC. And the same thing goes for Bradley Chubb, right? Bradley Chubb is an older veteran. He's had injury concerns. These are 2 players that have a realistic shot of being traded. Not only that, but there is a clear team that should use them, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion. I'm very confident in saying this. I think the Eagles will trade for one of Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb. And the reason why I also go above and beyond in saying that is they got a tie with Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator in Miami for 2023. It was a shit show, but he had connection to Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. And I'll even go a step further. For the Bradley Chubb connection, he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Who was the Denver Broncos' best pass rusher, albeit injured at times? It was Bradley Chubb. So if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and I'm looking at my team, we need help. But, on the offense side of the ball, figuring out some stuff. But the defense side for Vic Fangio, a lot of it is predicated on their outside linebackers. Right now, Nolan Smith on the IR. Zadarius Smith just retired. So they're relying on Josh Uche. They're relying on Jalix Hunt, however you say his name. They're inconsistent. They're not really proven. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to go trade for one of those 2 guys. And that's just where I start off because I'm very confident that those 2 guys are going to be the talk of the NFL contenders that need a pass rusher. So I got some more, but I don't know.
I'll just pop in here real quickly. Here's one that I was having a conversation with just the other night. I wouldn't be shocked if the Kansas City Chiefs have some interest in Breece Hall, running back from the Jets. I think that matter of fact, you look like him. You look like him. I gotta be honest with you. You look like Breece Hall. When I said that, I said, oh,
you got one more. Yeah. You got one more. I'm new to the show, but I ain't new to you. That's crazy.
You gotta look like him.
You know what? To be honest with you, as ugly as you are, you have great takes. And you know what? I'm on the same path with a running back to the Chiefs, but I have a name. I'll get to that in a second. But go ahead. Why Breece Hall?
I just think Breece Hall does everything that the Chiefs would need him to do. They need a running back that sort of helps this thing get back on track. Isaiah Pacheco, I don't know what has happened with him, but he definitely seems like a different player ever since coming back from that injury. Kareem Hunt, you can't keep relying on the ghost of Kareem Hunt. He's a good red zone back. He finds his way into the end zone when you get down there. But you really need somebody to take this pressure off of the pass game. We obviously know Brashard Smith, a guy that's been emerging in the Chiefs offense, but more so from a receiving standpoint than a running game standpoint. And I feel like Breece Hall can do everything. I feel like he can be your do-it-all back. He can pass protect. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run the football. He can do everything. And I think that everyone was expecting that Breece Hall emergence at some point, and it just hasn't quite hit. And I think that they think Breece Hall could potentially be everything that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not for them. But Tim,
one last thing, just to add on to that point, to make it simple, Breece Hall is on a contract year as well.
Yeah.
If you're not re-signing him and you're 0-6, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I have some stats here.
Yeah.
Chiefs ranks this season, weeks 1 through 3 in points per game, they're tied for 21st. They were in yards per game 17th and in yards per play 19th. Now weeks 4 through 6, they're 4th in points per game, they're 3rd in yards per game, and now they're 7th in yards per play. You know who could also help go ahead and boost to that with Rashee Rice coming back?
Who's that?
𝗦𝗡𝗎𝗪. 𝗦𝗡𝗎𝗪 to the Chiefs.
Apparently, he is so diehard, like locked in.
And you know, you know that it's kind of like when you stay with the extra too long, just because of familiarity. Like, I think honestly, at the end of the day, there's certain places where this was good, but this is done. And I think, and he was in trade talks last offseason. So now coming up again, I think at this trade deadline, like I said, there's a yard sale going on in New Orleans, believe it or not. And Kellen Moore, you're on the hot seat as well, even though you're starting off so young. I know you don't have a quarterback, but you guys drafted who you drafted, and I'm not going to say who you should have drafted because there's a lot of conspiracies out there about that. But we'll get to that another day. But moving on, I don't think it does Spencer Rattler any favors, nor does it do the New Orleans Saints to trade him. But at the end of the day, I think New Orleans is in the business of getting draft capital and rebuilding that roster from scratch, while also the Chiefs, who love a receiving back, and that offense, you know, could also use that spark. I don't know what happened to Isaiah Pacheco either. The hard running, getting the 3 yards in the cloud of dust, it's not really doing too much. And I don't think there's that gel that he had from, 2 seasons ago. And I think at this point, 𝗦𝗡𝗎𝗪 could sit there and also on a pass blocking scale could open up a lot of things for now a very versatile and mobile Patrick Mahomes, who now can also get out of pocket and extend. And now that goes for broken plays. And that gives 𝗦𝗡𝗎𝗪 a chance to put his skills on display in meaningful games, which I think at this point in his career is what he's looking for, is a chance to win a championship. I think he's done what he's needed to do in New Orleans, which is, be consistent, be explosive, and not really be injury prone per se. I know he's dealt with a couple, but I think 𝗦𝗡𝗎𝗪 to the Chiefs would be a banger come towards the trade deadline. And then there's one more name. I'm not going to dive into detail because I don't want this shit to happen. But
well, I want to hear it. No, you can't just say that.
I'm not going to leave you on the ledge here. Bengals, love you. It's biased opinion. But Trey Hendrickson to the 49ers. While Trey is dealing with some sort of injury, we don't want that to linger, and we don't want that to be a reason why the draft capital we could get back gets hindered. Trey, we can send him off into the sunset and go down to San Francisco and get a chance to win a championship with the 49ers, even with Mac Jones, which, by the way, deserves an apology. Mac Jones deserves an apology. I don't. It might be system. It might be what it is.
No, but apologies.
Yeah, he deserves one.
We'll apologize when he wins the Super Bowl. If he
Jesus
ever wins,
Christ, that's the standard. Is a Super Bowl?
Well, give me a playoff win.
Yeah.
But if we're putting out apologies out there,
there's a bunch of guys. Look. Anyway, look. Trey, go ahead, get sent down. We get draft capital, and we start to bolster our defense from the ground up. I think that'd be a great move as well.
I think that's all dependent on what happens tonight, right? This is a big sign. Listen,
we need to talk about
because if Shemar Stewart goes out there and looks like we'll wait for that. But if Shemar Stewart goes out there and looks like an animal, we could probably start.
Trey, pack your bags.
You can start having some. I have another one for you guys really quickly.
Yeah.
So I think Jalen Phillips to the Niners makes sense, actually. I think that's a move I'd like. Okay. But there's a sneaky move. I tweeted it out. So if you saw my tweet before, and you already know where I'm going. But 𝗏𝗏 Woolen to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles need defensive back help. You cannot keep putting Keely Ringo out there. I'm sorry. He's just
forget Keely. You can't keep putting Adoree Jackson out there, for God's sake.
But Keely Ringo is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jackson Dart was
offenses are coming in there looking pick your poison.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
No, completely. I was just going to go with another one real quick. But I agree with you. Eagles are a team. They need defense. They need edge, cornerback. I agree with you. And Howie Roseman. I mean, that dude is he's going to make a move regardless. He is going to make a move during the trade deadline. Last one I'll say, I don't necessarily know who's a fit, but I do think that the New York Giants will trade for a wide receiver. And I think that they're in a position, albeit maybe not to contend right now, but Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, your asses are still on the line for the
100%.
season. Like, you're not just going to sit back with Jalen Hyatt as your wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson as your wide receiver, Bo Collins as your wide receiver, and say, hey, all's well. We're going to keep rolling out Jackson Dart and keep having him run right through linebackers' heads, and that's how we're going to win. No, you've got to improve your team, and I'm very confident looking at the Giants. They feel that, and the names we listed out, whether it's, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Jacoby Myers, I think all three of those names are names that if I'm the Giants, I am calling about, because I see my young quarterback, Jackson Dart. He is going to play for the next 10 games. And if we want to keep him healthy and keep him upright, he needs better weapons that he can throw to consistently. So I'm very confident in saying this. I think that the Giants are going to at least entertain a trade and should trade for one of these wide receivers, because they're a team, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles, they beat the Los Angeles Chargers. You're not just going to stand pat and say, hey, we're going to live with the excitement of Jackson Dart, and that's what our season's about. No, you're going to try to contend. You have a dominant defensive line. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, the guy they just drafted, Abdul Carter. You need some help on the offense. And the best way to help your young quarterback, go out and get a weapon. And those guys, I don't think a Rashid Shaheed, a Jacoby Myers, those guys, at most, that's a third-round pick, at most. Yeah. And if you're the New York Giants, I look at both those guys and I say, hey, even a Chris Olave, I would extend Chris Olave. I would extend Rashid Shaheed. Those are two guys that can be your future for the next 4 years, at least, as a wide receiver to pair with Malik Neighbors when he gets back, because people forget he just got hurt. This is about the future as well. Surround Jackson Dart with great talent. I think they go out and trade for a wide receiver at this at this deadline. And one of our guys in the comments said, don't disrespect Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale's cool. He's good.
Look, Wan'Dale is more than just serviceable. He's been able to take on a workload, albeit because of Malik Neighbors being injured. But I think they love Jalen Hyatt just that much. I think him getting a up in his share of snaps last week against the Eagles shows, and he made some really good catches.
Yep.
He's learning, and people forget that there's just a development. Not everyone's is the same in the NFL. And Jalen Hyatt, he was just known for being a stretch the field type of guy, but he's rounded out his route tree to the point to where I think they're high on him. Mm-hmm. Now, I love the Rashid Shaheed idea. Yeah. There's just more speed. You can never go wrong with more speed. And he's a little more, seasoned than the guys who are currently on the roster. But I think Jalen Hyatt has put himself in conversation to say, you know what, I think I deserve more receptions, more targets. And, we'll see where they go from here. But the Giants have a lot of upside, man. That's a conversation for another day, but they're fun to watch.
And one last one in the comments said, Njoku to the Giants. I would probably say no, just because they got Theo Johnson there. They got Daniel Bellinger. I think Njoku is another name, could be traded, because the Browns should be having a fire sale as well. I mean, they already traded away Greg Newsom. They already traded away Joe Flacco, Cam Robinson. But I just don't know if the New York Giants are the best fit. But that's a good shot. I do think David Njoku could be
I think they love their draft capital.
Listen, I tweeted it out. I gave y'all my hot take already. One team needs to make one phone call at the trade deadline. It's the Buffalo Bills for this man. AJ Brown.
How'd you get the edit so fast?
I do this. AJ Brown needs to be a Buffalo Bill. That's just my hot take. Again, if you guys do a give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we upload content or go live here at TWSN Studios. Let's talk about the Titans. This is our last topic before we get to the Bengals conversation. It's going to dominate majority of the show.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans fired head coach Brian Callahan to no surprise. But I want to talk about this a little even further. Who do we think the next head coach is of the Tennessee Titans? And would you, if you're the Tennessee Titans ownership, would you target a more offensively friendly coach, a defensive guy? Because I still think they're kicking themselves for moving on from Mike Vrabel. We saw the quick turnaround Mike Vrabel's already done with the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
But who do you guys think will be the Titans' next head coach? I think Daniel has a name on the tip of his tongue.
Yeah.
And I already know where you're going. I think you're going to go with the former Dallas Cowboys head coach and the former.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I like him, but he was not the
Talk to
name.
me.
And we will discuss Mike McCarthy. We will. He has a connection. But the name I will say, and this is a name I've been, because I love doing this and having this conversation, because this is the conversation. This is going to happen in January and February, and this is going to dominate the conversation. The New York Giants offensive coordinator, Mike Kafka, is a name.
Are you looking at my notes? Oh my God.
Are you serious? The same name?
Bro, yeah.
All right, well, we'll talk about it. Listen, I think he's the guy for them. He's the guy for them. And the first thing is, I think offensive mind is probably where I would go. You've got the franchise quarterback in Cam Ward. And I think the trend of all these young guys going after, getting a young offensive mind or getting an offensive mind in general, I think that's probably the pathway to go. If you go defensive mind, you need a great offensive coordinator to come out and hire. But Mike Kafka, what he's done with quarterbacks, I think it's a trend, and it's something we see with a lot of these young head coaches. Kellen Moore, we saw he did work with Jalen Hurts, did work with Justin Herbert. Mike Kafka started out in Kansas City, did work with Patrick Mahomes, Daniel Jones. He's with the Giants right now, and albeit the Giants have looked bad, there's a reason why he also got interviews last year for the New Orleans Saints job. He got interviews with the Chicago Bears last year. This is a guy who seems to be well respected within the league, right? Look at Mahomes' first rookie season and those couple years. That's why he got an offense coordinator gig, because he was the quarterbacks coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the last connection, I know I'll save some stuff because you want to definitely touch on them too. Like, the connections in the NFL are so paramount and they're so important. Yes. The general manager for the Kansas City, or for the New York Giants, or for the Tennessee Titans, worked with Mike Kafka in Kansas City. And that is the biggest connection that I see, because the general manager did not work with Brian Callahan. He was just hired here this season. So this is his first shot to get his guy in here, get your group of people that you want, because this is your chance. Mike Bergonzi, this is his first chance being a general manager. And quite frankly, this is probably your only chance, because we see guys so many times, whether it was the guy with the Las Vegas Raiders who hired Josh McDaniels, didn't work out. You probably ain't getting another shot as general manager. This is your one shot to get it right. And I think you go with the guy that you have familiarity with and is an offensive mind. But I don't know if you want to add some more on Kafka.
You know what? I am going to add a little bit on Mike Kafka in a second. But I also do want to go back to the connections, prompt that's put up here. It's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. And for some guys, there's a guy in Kansas City right now in Matt Nagy. I know we hate the idea, but I'm sure he's learned something. And talking about the connections is just like what I said. It's not what you know, it's who you know. But Mike Bergonzi and Matt Nagy have had stints in Kansas City together from the tutelage that Matt Nagy, has taken and sat down and took notes from Andy Reid. I think a second chance. There's other guys who didn't deserve a second chance in the NFL as a head coach. Matt Nagy wasn't terrible, but he wasn't the best or near the best or even third in the division, honestly. But in the NFL, I think he has an opportunity to go ahead just because of the name, getting a chance. And Mike Bergonzi is going to look at him because of the familiarity as well. The second name, honestly, because I was going to go with the Mike Kafka, I think you've covered that. Kevin Stefanski. I think Kevin Stefanski,
assuming he's
gone, getting the boot. Let's be honest, he's been hindered by quarterback play, and I will say that it's been some of his fault, honestly. Him letting go of Baker Mayfield prematurely is going to come back to haunt that franchise just for a second, especially with how well Baker Mayfield is playing. But, that play action system could open up a lot as far as first read options for Cam Ward. And also same thing going with Mike Kafka as well. I think Cam Ward getting the ball out of his hands, I think he has the ability to sit here and give himself a chance to make reads and throw in the windows that just aren't normal for certain guys. I think he looks at the game a different way. And I think he needs first of all, as you said, this wasn't Mike Bergonzi's guy coming in and Brian Callahan. All of these guys are brand new to him. You guys weren't on this. You weren't here when I was cooking in the kitchen. So now we're having a chance to go ahead, remodify exactly what Titans football is. And I think Kevin Stefanski, with that play action type of offense, gives Cam Ward a chance. I think he's great. Mike McCarthy's hat is going to get thrown around a lot, especially with him having a hand in on the last healthy season with Dak Prescott and it being MVP-like. I think that gives him a lot, and he wins. Not in the playoffs, which does matter. There's a lot of things that go into why it didn't work out in the postseason for the Dallas Cowboys. But Mike McCarthy had his hand in on Aaron Rodgers. He's had his hand with Dak Prescott playing some of the best ball of his career. And I think there is a little bit of Aaron Rodgers-esque type of game with Cam Ward. It's to be told, and I'm not saying he is Aaron Rodgers, but I am saying the arm slots that he throws from, his anticipation of throws and his gutsiness to let the ball spin is something that, as me being a former quarterback, I love.
Yeah.
I wish I could throw like that, but we're just not there. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think those two guys are going to be names to be thrown in the hat, especially if Jackson Dart continues to play that he's playing the way he's playing. I think the top guy is going to end up popping out to be Mike Kafka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think I could see a connection with the Chiefs hire there. I with a player, a coach that might have a little bit of a ties. I got some names I want to throw at you really quickly if I can do that. There's two names that come to mind real quick. I'm going to do one with a Chiefs connection and one that does not have a Chiefs connection. So just bear with me 1 second. Steve Spagnuolo. When I look at it, why don't teams more often look at the strengths of their football team and say, hey, you know what? Let's hire a coach that can get the most out of this. Let's hire a coach that can get the most out of this position group or this side of the ball, because this is where our strength is. I think undoubtedly the strength from a name standpoint, definitely of the Titans roster, is defense. That all being said, I think at my core, I believe in my core, Steve Spagnuolo could be the guy that they go with because it creates a defensive identity. It's a guy that's been around the block. It's a guy that's well respected, and you have that connection. And Ganzi has had a lot of success, obviously winning multiple Super Bowls with Kansas City Chiefs with Steve Spagnuolo as defensive coordinator, and that could be the spot that he needs. That could be the spot that he needs. That could be the spot that believes in him. That's my one hot take. If Steve Spagnuolo is going to end up as a head coach, it's going to be with the Tennessee Titans. Now, it might not be a sexy name, but honestly, right now, Titans don't need a sexy name, right? The Titans need somebody that can get in here, re-energize a fan base and restill, I would say, culture. That's
a tone setter.
A tone setter for sure. Sticking with that thought process, right? So I went with the Steve Spagnuolo route. There was another. I'm going with guys that I think could fit with the new owner of the Titans, and
this is a tough one, man.
It is a tough one. It is a tough one because you want to make sure that the fit makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought about maybe 𝗦𝗡𝗎𝗪 fitting there. I don't know if I see it with Tennessee. Obviously,
I think Lou's great where he's at.
I think, but
give him another year.
Some team is going to come calling. Right?
Yeah.
Some team is going to come calling. Some team is going to think that, hey, you know what? Maybe we can do something with that. What about Brian Flores?
Oh gosh, I was just about to say.
What about Brian Flores in Tennessee? I think that could make a lot. I think that could make a lot of sense.
Do those egos collide?
Maybe, for sure. Brian Flores is definitely a tough personality.
But maybe you need those tough conversations, and that's what leads to winning.
Yeah.
Brian Flores has done wonders, and honestly, I don't think he should have been fired from Miami. Now, looking on the situation, Brian Flores was just a leader of men, and I don't think Mike McDaniels is showcasing that, or there's becoming, a question about whether he can, because being a great offensive play caller doesn't necessarily mean you can be, the best decision maker for a team.
You know what? The weird part I am about hiring offensive minded coaches.
Yeah.
Whenever they get hired, they tend to want their own guys. And so you might hire an offensive minded coach that clashes with Cam Ward. That might not want Cam Ward. That might want a different guy. That might say, hey, you know what? I've got my eye on Arch Manning coming out in a few years. Whereas the defensive guys kind of will just work with what you give them.
Yeah.
and they'll just kind of grow with it, if that makes sense. They understand. They say, like, you know what, I'm going to make us really, really good on this side of the ball. What about Jeff Ulbrich, too, for the Falcons defense core? He was the interim Jets head coach.
Aren't they number 2 in defense?
I'm not exactly sure. They are.
They're balling.
What about Jeff Ulbrich? I'm looking at guys that can. And the reason why I think the Steve Spagnuolo thing made a lot of sense, because Jeffrey Simmons, I'm not saying he is on the same level, although I think that Chris Jones is kind of overrated. But I think that Jeffrey Simmons makes a lot of sense too. I'm sorry. I think Steve Spagnuolo makes a lot of sense because he's worked with Chris Jones, and I think having Jeffrey Simmons, their styles kind of clash a little bit. I think their styles are kind of similar.
And I think there's a couple of coaches who get a lot of slack. Because of, albeit Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, that time in Jets country, that was just awkward from the get-go. From Aaron wanting his own offensive coordinator to, you know, Jeff sitting there and, you know, having some type of disagreements with certain players on the defense about, you know, where the direction is going with scheme. I think Jeff has instilled something in Atlanta. I think he's caught on to that swagger of Atlanta. And I think that can carry over into a new regime. He is a leader of men. He has showed that he's capable. But I also think something that's very underrated about his game is that he's versatile. He's versatile in you know, conforming himself to the talent on the team. And I think that's something that a lot of coaches lose hindsight of, is that you coach the players, you don't try to force the scheme. And I think that's something that he's capable of doing, which I think also, you know,
it's going to be a weird name as the Titans' next head coach.
It's going to pop up.
I'm going to throw another name at you that I think could make a lot of sense. Jim Schwartz, Browns defensive coordinator. Jim Schwartz has been successful everywhere he's been for the most part on the defensive side of the ball. He got one shot to be a head coach in the league. Did not do great, but he did lead the Lions to a 10-win season. That's when the Lions weren't great, albeit he did have Megatron and Matt Stafford. But I think that Jim Schwartz makes sense. I'm going to throw another name at you really quickly. I don't know if he'd want to leave where he is. I think he might want to retire where he is. Vic Fangio, defense coordinator of Philadelphia Eagles. Why not? Makes a lot of sense, you know? So, you know, I think that, funny enough, they both were defense coordinators at the Eagles at times, but Jim Schwartz, Vic Fangio, those type of guys make sense. And I think Steve Spagnuolo, I think it's going to be a defensive first coach, or unless it's somebody that we're not even thinking of right now on our radar. But I don't think it's going to be a first. I don't think it's going to be a first timer at head coach. I think it's going to be somebody that's been around the block. Either they've had success in the NFL as a play caller, then are on the block, or maybe they've been a success as a head coach, but maybe their last shot at head coach came many years ago. I don't know how Titans fans will feel about that, if their head coach is Jim Schwartz or if their head coach is Vic Fangio. Again, it's not a sexy name. It's not like the name that everyone's yelling at. I obviously get people that say John Gruden, right? You'll get people that say, as Marissa says in the comment section, she says Mario Cristobal. I don't know if an NFL team is coming calling for Mario Cristobal. Again, what is the mindset there? You're trying to win over this locker room. You're trying to win this locker room back for players that are obviously frustrated with. They're still trying to figure out why Mike Vrabel was let go in their head. They're like, we're not shocked that our head coach went to New England and has had success almost.
You're just trying to find somebody who can construct a roster that can win relatively soon. Right. I think right now you're in a weird space as a Tennessee Titan fan where it's like, I want to win now, but at what cost of the development of Cam Ward? You know, what pieces are we willing to give up? Because the draft capital right now is pretty damn high. Yep. I think that, well, are we safe to say they're going to be a top 4 pick? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not willing to give that up just to make one gigantic move to try to move the needle over like the next year. This is going
you know what I would do?
I
got a crazy ass idea.
I don't think
I'm a crazy dude.
Don't you?
If you want to go to the college ranks,
and
you want to make a splash hire,
who?
It's not, again, it's going to be controversial for the first year.
Who just got fired, right?
Who? No.
Okay.
No. Cool. It's nobody that just got fired. Not James Franklin.
No. Okay. All right. Here we go.
What if there's been rumors circulating. What if you throw the absolute bag at Nick Saban?
If he wants to come back,
I mean,
you want to talk about a culture setter?
Is he cool?
You talk about a guy. You talk about a guy that has had success everywhere that he's been. He hasn't had success in the NFL. he left the Dolphins job the whole 9 years. We know
Yeah.
that, but there have been rumors that he is interested in returning to the NFL.
Yeah.
That has been widely speculated. We all felt like Nick Saban's retirement was very out of the blue.
He doesn't want to deal with that NIL shit.
Right.
Personally.
So what if you saw Nick Saban on a Tennessee Titans sideline? Just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well,
I mean, culture would be
I
there.
like it. The only problem I see is if I'm Saban, I'd rather go somewhere else. Honestly.
Sure.
But I agree. Like, if I'm an organization.
But goddamn, would the story be beautiful? Think about
course.
it. Nick Saban, he helped LSU. Nick Saban, he rewrote Alabama football, right?
Refresh me how his tenure went in Miami.
I believe he quit. I believe he left the job.
Okay.
Yeah. But but also like it was a different time, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The way he coaches, you can't have an ego.
You can't tell me that they
not
won't
him.
take a swing at him. They won't at least be interested in
I
talking
would.
to
I
him.
think anybody who has a functioning
Yeah.
brain
Yeah.
should take a look at Nick.
Yeah.
But Nick, in reality, he's on a fine line of I'm the captain now. And there's guys who are trying to get their second contract and have 3 kids to feed at home. And they're, brinking on whether or not this is where I can be or do I want to jump into free agency. There's decisions to be made. And I think Nick, he's really cutthroat. And I think that's something that, again, going back to the Jeff Albrecht, situation, I think he can, transform his thinking into, being a guy that can make those type of decisions at the NFL level. It's just about leading grown men now. These aren't guys, and to be honest, there's guys in college football who think that they're grown men now because they're getting a check, and that's what Nick was having an issue with. You're not coachable anymore because you're getting a lump sum of money, or you don't want to fight for your position because you can just jump into the transfer portal. There's none of that in the NFL now. So, are you able to lead? You can't quit again. You can't, especially when there's going to be that type of bag thrown at you out the get-go to be in Tennessee for, I'm going to say, if you're going to sign Nick Saban, you're looking at a 4-year project, with hopefully 2 years of a turnaround and then having, consistency 2 years after.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're like, to be honest, this is a team that they've got so many different options, and it really just depends on what do they want. I mean, there's the names I saw, like Ian Rappaport, when he first talked about the Tennessee Titans, he mentioned like Arthur Smith. Like, everybody's getting thrown out. Like, Arthur Smith, like, for me personally, I'm good. Like, I don't know if he's the guy I would want for Tennessee. I don't know if that's where I would personally go with it.
That's
but
such a boring ass.
I'm
I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm not a
Who's
big
your head coach? Arthur Smith.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
Who's like at your local pub. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't. I never really
Man.
liked Arthur, but I mean, he's winning, I guess.
Yeah.
His name's always thrown around at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, again, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live. Listen, is this a must-win for Zac Taylor tonight?
Hell yeah.
Bengals take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in a game that, let's just be quite honest with you, they need this as bad as they need to breathe. I talked a lot about it on State of the Jungle last night. Dana talked about it, so Tim, we're gonna let you start this one off. What are your thoughts on tonight's matchup, and I guess what the outlook is for Zac Taylor's tenure as Bengals head coach? Do you think that this is a must-win for Zac Taylor and Bengals?
Yeah, we're at the point in the season where Zac can do one of two things. One, give up play calling duties to try to save his job, kind of pulling a Brian Callahan, hoping that creates a spark for Dan, letting Dan Pitcher take over, or getting to the point to where he just mid-season reshifts his whole philosophy, thinking wise, about how to call a game. I think it was really telling having Jamar Chase say our offense is predictable, and I think when the defense does know on first down, we're going to, go and spread and throw a quick out here. And then second down, we're throwing a screen or we're running the ball up the middle. And then third down, we're trying to take a shot because now we're behind the sticks.
Yeah.
I think tonight is going to be really telling about how much trust does he have in Joe Flacco, how much he wants Chase Brown involved in the game plan. And then third, it's also going to be why this is a must win is the time of possession game for this defense. Our defense has been on the field a lot. We need to give them a break. I don't care how much you get paid. When you're tired, you're tired. It just is what it is. And if our offense can't sustain drives, you're putting a defense, which is the one that Joe Burrow was asking for last year, essentially, just give me back the ball a couple more times. There's a couple of drives this year where it's like, you know what, Joe Burrow would have made that 3 points. Joe Burrow would have made that a 7-point lead early in the game. Well, the Bengals held. Sorry, the bias here. The Bengals held the Packers to, I want to say, 3 points in the first quarter, and I want to say a total of 10 for the first half. That's not going to be the same story every week, and we can't win games. We don't have the offense to do a 27-34 win.
Yeah,
we just don't have that. So is this a must win? This schedule is grueling coming up. It's going to be. This is going to be as big of a game for Zac Taylor's career as it's been, I want to say, in the last 2-3 years. Last year, you could give him a pass, but we're talking about your ass being on the hot seat if you weren't already. Now it's cracking from underneath you now. So yeah, I would say.
Yeah, man. This is we talked about on State of the Jungle. This is the game. This is AFC North football. When we talk about who's gonna save your season, Zach, your ass is on the line here, man. Like, we can talk about playoffs all we want. We can talk about Joe Burrow all we want coming back. You got to win football games before then. You got to put yourself in a position to even be in that conversation. And it starts on Thursday night football.
Yeah.
There is a path, of course, if they lose this game. Of course, you can still mathematically make the playoffs. But with the schedule being as brutal as it is down the stretch, you got to put yourself ahead of the 8 ball right now. And to be honest with you, this is the game to do it. You have to come out and compete. You have to be the team that shows, hey, we're not just a team that can put points up on the board in the fourth quarter and make it close. No, the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Flacco, you ain't got an excuse right now. There is no excuse for you to lose to this Pittsburgh Steelers team. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear it. We see football teams every single week with worse quarterbacks win football games. This Pittsburgh Steelers team is looking good, but they are not an unbeatable team. I don't care what the spread is. This is a winnable football game, and you have to at least look competent. I don't want and you shouldn't want a 10-point, 13-point deficit in the fourth quarter just for you to have a 2-minute drill that scores a touchdown and we're right about to be in the game. That's not good enough. That is not cutting it for Zac Taylor. And this is your job on the line. You could be 2-5, and at 2-5 with 5 straight losses, Zac Taylor is not coming back from that. I will say that he is not coming back. Sure, he mathematically can. If you lose this game, you ain't coming back from this. And I think there's a chance they win this game. So I don't, I don't know how far in detail we want to go, but this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, we talked about it a little bit. They are a very methodical offense, but it's not like they're a flashy offense like the Lions with Amon-Ra, with Jameson Williams, with Sam Laporta, with Jahmyr Gibbs. The Pittsburgh Steelers throw the ball to the wide receivers at the fewest rate in the entire NFL. They got DK Metcalf, and they got Scotty Miller. They got Calvin Austin, who's kind of hurt. They got Roman Wilson. That's it. They are going to be a tight end offense. They are going to be a run-first offense. This AFC North football, and I think this Bengals offense, I think they're going to have their chances in this game to go out and win this game. And like you talked about, Tim, 0 points in the first half is not cutting it. And this is a game, I'm sorry, the excuses are done with. I know Mike Gesicki's out. I know Trey Anderson, I don't know what the deal is with him fully.
Not expected to play.
Really? So if especially if he's not expected to play, Zac Taylor, there's no excuse. I know this is on a short week, but Joe Flacco looked good in the second half. You can't tell me you don't have a capable offense, because you do. You have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. This offense has to be the one that really leads your team to victory. And I'm sorry, you can win this game. And this is a must win for Zac Taylor.
You see what happens when you just let loose? I think Joe Flacco, the the drops that were happening in Cleveland are abysmal, but I don't think it's just that. I think now with him having these $200 million receivers on the outside gives him the ability to just let his hair flow or whatever hair is left to then sit here and say, you know what, I'll just wing it and put it next to the guy. And I think that's all we're asking for. The Bengals, if they don't win tonight, they have the Jets, Bears, and then that gauntlet of Patriots, Ravens, Bills, Ravens. If you lose tonight, the Jets game, I think we all could, it's the NFL, anything can happen, but we're going to say that's a win. Then you go to the Bears. You have to take that game. If you don't take that game, Zach might be fired. I'm gonna call it. Zach might be fired before the bye week, and it sounds premature, but at the same time, this is a business of production, and Zach has been given left and right to find a way to make this offense gel, despite not having Joe Burrow. I know how big that is, and that might even tell even more how important Joe Burrow is to the Cincinnati Bengals and how he's made a lot of other people money, because now you're just looking to just keep your head above water. But then coming out of that bye week, the Patriots, we just talked about it earlier, sitting at the top right now and playing some of the best ball that you would want to play is telling. But then that Ravens team, if Lamar gets back, it's any given Sunday as well. And a lot of people have written them off, but I could possibly see them as a wild card at the end of the year. That's another conversation for another day. But look, I know, but it's just the Ravens. But right now we're looking at Zach Taylor, looking him dead in the face, primetime TV. You have the opportunity to show some type of growth and take some responsibility for the inconsistency of the offense over the last couple of weeks. Should have made the move to get another quarterback a couple weeks ago, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about now. Zach, go in there, let your hair loose. You really have nothing to lose right now except your job. So you're going to have to put forth a great game plan to go against a defense that has just been stifling over the last, I want to say, really season, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, I would say tonight is, pivotal, to say the least.
It's a big game. It's a big game. It's no other way to slice it. I've talked about it at a nauseating pace yesterday. These guys did a fantastic job covering it. It's a big game. We all understand what's on the line here. I think that doing the bare minimum isn't going to be enough. I think you have to try to find a way to win this game. I agree with Daniel. This game is winnable. Pittsburgh Steelers are not in their full form just yet, especially with them still considering trading for a wide receiver. It is up to the Bengals to take advantage of a lot. So we'll see. We'll see how this whole thing shakes up. But I think that if with a win against Pittsburgh tonight, the morale changes around the locker room. I think the morale around the city changes. I think the morale around the team changes. But a loss, it could do damage. So again, everything you gotta approach every single game like it's every single week like it's just one game. That's the most important game, because it is the most important game. But you got to think with the rest of their schedule shaping up against the Steelers, against the Jets, against the Bears. These are all 3 winnable games. However, a loss tonight will make that look a little bleak, because you got to wonder what the morale, the thought process is in that locker room, and just in the organization, in the building as a whole. So again, we're going to be watching tonight. I want to get some of our favorite bets for tonight's game. So Daniel, before you go, I'm going to just rattle mine off really, really quickly.
Yep.
I like Jaylen Warren tonight over 2.5 receptions. I think that's just an easy play. He's been one of Aaron Rodgers' outlet targets. I like DK Metcalf at 4 or 5 receptions, maybe 4 or 5 receptions. More of so the alternate line than the actual line. T. Higgins, 4 receptions to play. I like Noah Fant, 4 receptions. I think the Bengals are going to throw the ball a lot, because the Bengals have realized they're not a team that can run the football. So, even in Joe Flacco's debut, he threw the ball how many times? 45 times in his debut. They're going to continue to air this thing out, whether we agree or disagree. And I think Noah Fant scores a touchdown tonight as well, too. I think with Tanner Hudson out of the lineup, Mike Gesicki out of the lineup, he's still going to target his tight ends, and I think that tight end he's going to target is Noah Fant. Daniel, what say you?
Yeah, man, this is – I think there's a lot of opportunity for props in this game. I think, number one, we talked about it on the show yesterday, but Ja'Marr Chase, this is a game for him. This is Ja'Marr Chase game if I've ever seen one. This is prime time. This is AFC North football. This is something – in the interview with you, Malik, he talked about who's your favorite cornerbacks. He said Jalen Ramsey, one of the best in the league. He said Joey Porter, one of the best in the league. Doesn't mean they can stop him. I look at the guys who have faced the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I was watching some of the film. It's like, what are we talking about? Jalen Ramsey got cooked one-on-one by Jackson Smith-Njigba, but a lot of times they're just playing cover three, so it's not like you're playing man-to-man. And I look at their secondary. Juan Thornhill is okay safety right now.
Yeah.
Ja'Marr Chase is getting the easy buttons on the offense, the quick outs. I look at the guys. Justin Jefferson dropped 120 on them. Cooper Kupp dropped 90 on them. Garrett Wilson dropped 90 on them. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 120 on them. Like, what are we talking about right now? This is a Ja'Marr Chase game if I've ever seen one. The dude had 12 targets last week, 10 receptions last week. He goes off for 100+ yards. I like his over 73 yards. For me, that is hands down by far and away as much of a smash prop as you can get. And then number two, I would probably say, like you said, Malik, I think that Noah Fant, I really struggle to see how Noah Fant doesn't have a good game. No Mike Gesicki, no Tanner Hudson. Noah Fant's probably at 28 yards. Like, this dude, he's getting 30+. He's getting full receptions. I think that you shouldn't overthink that. And Joe Flacco loves his tight end. So, Tim, I don't know if you had any.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Joe Flacco loves his tight ends. And I actually have a Noah Fant hit rate on here. I'm gonna take Noah Fant for 25 receiving yards. I think that is smart, safe, but it is smart, and it's hit 4 out of 5 games during this year. Another one that I have for me, I think Malik, did you say DK Metcalf for a touchdown?
I know I didn't say that, but I kind of like that.
DK Metcalf for a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers and DK are starting to light it up, honestly. DK is looking like the guy that was in Seattle, and it takes some time to, find that cohesiveness with a quarterback. No matter how, long he's been in the league, you still have to make that work. Another one that I have, Chase Brown for 15 receiving yards and 2 receptions as well. If you want to add that to the ticket, I think those are something that Joe Flacco has shown over the course of his career is love getting the ball out of his hands and throwing to the backside of the backfield. I think Chase Brown could have a significant role that he hasn't really had all season. Just trying to get him to get going and get a spark as the Bengals are coming down a stretch where they need to put together offensive production, or we're going to be talking about a lot of changes. So those are my hit rates for Thursday Night Football tonight.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Again, we want to thank you guys again for tuning in to the morning show. We greatly appreciate you guys. Some people are frying you a little bit in the comment section. I don't know if they're frying Daniel or you, Tim. I know somebody said, dude, you not
they said I was speaking French.
Oh,
I said we about the Bengals. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
Tim, you did a great job before show, man.
Thank you, man.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Tim's going to be joining us on the show more regularly every single week. We're pretty pumped to have him on the show. We appreciate your energy. I look forward to start talking NBA action with you guys because NBA is back next week.
Luka MVP.
Luka is going to win.
Luka MVP.
Luka. Again, tomorrow is Fantasy Football Fridays. We might be having a special guest join us tomorrow on the show who might play for the Atlanta Falcons either Friday, tomorrow on the show, or Monday. We're still trying to figure that out. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for Fantasy Football Fridays and everything that we've got in store for you. We appreciate you guys for making this show a part of your regular morning routine on Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, presented by TWS. Oh, I forgot. You spoke and we listened. You guys said that you wanted merch from TWS, and we gave you that. So now we officially come out with a merch store fully lined for State of the Jungle, the Sit Down Malik, Wright, the whole 9 yards. Multiple different State of the Jungle merch that you could choose from. Daniel's wearing one of the hats right now. But either way, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for making this part of your regular routine. We'll see how the Bengals make out tonight. And as always, there's only one way you should be waking up, talking sports, having the conversation, debating with your friends, and that is the right way. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
This is